Dungeon Masters, have you or a loved one ever been exposed to poorly paced D&D? Has the party been stuck in the same hallway for 3 real-world hours? Are you tired of your so-called one-shots taking 6 sessions? The average D&D group meets for 6 to 8 sessions before falling apart. Are you sick of using that precious time on farting around? Hello, I'm Skele the ADHDM, and if you have experienced slow, aimless D&D, you may be entitled to, well, not compensation exactly, but if the game doesn't move as quickly as you like, there are things you can do to improve pacing and keep everything on track. First, let me change clothes. That's much better. Over the years, I've looked to the minimalist DM sages like Mike Shea of the Sly Flourish, Kelsey Dion of the Arcane Library, Matt Colville of MCDM, and many others. And I've found practices that can reliably start and sustain the dramatic momentum that makes D&D good. It starts with prep. Answer this question: how much time are you going to have to play? My perfect session lasts 3 hours, up to 4 if we're really cruising. It's also harder to schedule, more than 3 hours the older I and my friends get. How are we going to use that time? In D&D, we basically have 2 types of encounters. Small challenges to deplete resources, like a group of small foes with one party leader, or a single CR-appropriate tanky monster with a lot of hit points, and more engaging challenges that draw out everything the party has, like organized enemy groups with dedicated spellcasters or higher CR monsters with legendary actions and minions. You can also think of it like this: the more actions an enemy group has, and the more varied things they can do with those actions, bonus actions, reactions, legendary actions, layer actions, to support one another and hurt the party, the more complex it will be. Many encounters will fall in the middle range, but go ahead and put them into one category or the other, whichever they're closest to. If we're talking about non-combat encounters, it varies group to group. If you find the party is extremely cautious, expect traps, puzzles, and suspicious doors to take longer. If you have some eager role players, expect social encounters to be more drawn out. In a typical 3 to 4 hour gaming session, there is room for 2 more complex encounters or 4 simpler encounters. So we can get out 2 index cards for our longer encounters and 4 for our shorter encounters, and write what those are. If you're running a published adventure, find those encounters in the current section of the adventure. You can skip ahead a little bit if there aren't enough, or abridge it if there are too many. You're probably not going to use them all, but we want them all prepared. As for what happens between the encounters and how you get to them, that's really up to your players. We just need to give them the information they need to seek out the next challenge. Mike Shea refers to these in Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master as secrets and clues. Anything you can use, from letters, books, and maps that lead to the main event, to characters that barely escape the location in question, or scouts that bring the action to the party. In my session spread, I talk about using location and encounter cards for minimal prep, and even adding some conditions if enough time has passed. Generally, if you put players in a place, location, and there's stuff in that place, encounters, they will start moving. If they don't, stuff starts moving around them. If you want to see how to prep that, the link to the session spread video is in the thing down there. This doesn't mean we punish the players for engaging with things that aren't the planned encounter and make vampires attack out of nowhere when they stop to enjoy the scenery. On the contrary, we can use whatever they're engaging with as the hook to draw them into the action. Did they stop and talk to the little girl on the back of the wagon? Well then, she tells them the story of how the caged swordsman at the crossroads was captured, and how the knight will return in 3 days to transport him and collect his outrageous bounty. Consider that the players might free the swordsman. They might capture him and take the bounty for themselves. They might say, "Tough luck, dude," and continue down the road. Consider those choices when prepping, and make sure that no matter what happens, the action converges on the party. One trick I use is making all my encounters move towards a central point from different directions. So no matter where the party goes, the action is moving towards them. I also think about when during the session these things should happen. If encounters are the measure of how much the party has accomplished, and they haven't encountered any for an hour, That's a problem. So in the first hour, we want to have 2 simple or 1 complex encounters. Player's choice. So we've prepped our 6 encounters. We've made some places for the players to go, and we know what's there. Now it's game night. What's the best way to keep everything moving and engaging? It sounds boring, but we need timers. I use them for 2 things. First, to make sure things are about where I expect them to be. If you're planning on a 3-hour session, set a timer to check where you are after the first hour. If you're way behind, it's time to accelerate. If the party is blowing through your planned encounters, it's time to bring out some of our backups that they haven't run into, and maybe even combine a few for an epic showdown. The next timer goes off at the 90-minute mark, 30 minutes after the first one. That's when I take a 15 or 20-minute break so we can all step away from the table and take care of whatever we need. Before the break, I like leaving off at a cliffhanger or an unanswered question because it brings everyone right back into the action. After the break, the last timer goes off 30 minutes later so we can signal that it's time to start wrapping up. Note your players' reactions, energy levels, body language. Make sure no one seems confused or checked out so that you can reach out and re-engage them. Maybe you're like me and reading body language isn't your strong suit. In that case, don't hesitate to ask how everyone is feeling. You might be in a full-on ADHD flow state, but pausing to check on your friends to make sure they're following is still nice. I also recommend having one-on-one sessions with each player when you're able, whether it's through text, voice chat, or over lunch, and give them a chance to develop and inhabit their characters. It makes it easier for everyone to act as their character close to the start of the game. That's it. Thank you to my Antediluvian Lurker patrons, Adam M, Borkware, thank you for upgrading, you are awesome, IronTrash, and Troy. Thank you to my Dungeon Delver patrons as well, Courtney Monster, Cynsue, Joachim M, Katie B, M, Mitch B, Noah, Raspilicious, Sam, Shawn S, and Shawn M. And as always, thank you for watching, and remember to embrace your hyperfixations.